and add value to it, because the whole essence is for that communication to be debated, for it to enjoy legitimacy, so that everyone in this country will know, and even outside will know. So now what I'm saying is that...
Sorry, you are wrong.
Sorry?
The communication is for the Senate to give consent, for the President to act in line with the Constitution, not to debate.
Mr. President.
So the communication, whether you debate...
We are saying the same thing. Can you listen also?
No. You have to get... Whether you debate or not, you still come to the question, will the Senate give Mr. President consent as requested?
No, we are not debating that again.
No, you can't. You can't even debate.
We are not debating that
We have
again.
closed that issue.
What I'm saying is...
We have given the President consent.
And the
Senate, all the senators here that you see...
He's comparing with the...
I'm coming. All the senators here that gave consent are aware of the content of that letter. They would not have given consent if they were not in agreement with the President's request. So to open it for debate, that is not what we are here for. The point of order, Senator Shumole.
And there was no one voice of nay. It was all... The eyes had it. And it was unanimous, including Senator Dixon. Once it is closed, Mr. President, you cannot reopen it. It is sealed in concrete. Our endorsement of the action is total. It is not open to further conversation.
Sorry, you are wrong.
Sorry?
The communication is for the Senate to give consent.
Yura, that is the Senate National Assembly of Nigeria debating how to send Nigerian soldiers on a fake peace mission that is not actually clearly defined, but let's kind of pick some things out of it, okay? Tinubu's letter said Benin Republic requested for fighter jets, and they were given even before the Senate approval. However, in that letter that is now communicated to Akpabio, by the way, it is stated that they want more. They want more than just fighter jets. They want soldiers sent to Benin Republic, and therefore, Tinubu and the Nigerian military put together a package and they called it a peace mission to Benin Republic. You know, so people didn't have the chance of actually scrutinizing that like it should be. Rather, it was meant to be just approved. We just need your consent, like just say yes to it. And that is Nigeria National Assembly approved the boots on ground. I remember how many of you felt when Donald Trump's statement said they will come to Nigeria and go after the terrorists, the jihadists. And it's going to be, you know, fast, swift. Sweet, fast and sweet. And it will be like gun blazing. I know how many of these people who lost their cool, they lost their shit, right? That, how could you say you want to send soldiers to Nigeria? So we're debating that 4 weeks ago. And today, the National Assembly of Nigeria, the Nigerian Senate, approved the boots on ground into Benin Republic, the neighboring country, because there was a failed coup attempt, and therefore thousands of Nigerian soldiers will now be drafted to Benin Republic in the midst of national security crisis in Nigeria. You see the alacrity at which this whole thing happened. Priority. The coupists were on rampage 2 days ago. It lasted for a few hours. And within those few hours, Nigeria from Abuja reacted and dispatched fighter jets straight to Benin Republic. Within hours, that same privilege is not accorded Nigerians inside Nigeria. For example, oh, there is an SOS call. The Fulani terrorists or the Boko Haram terrorists are currently attacking so communities in the so local government areas of the states. And with that rapid response from Abuja to Katsina, from Abuja to Kaduna, from Abuja to Niger State, from Abuja to Kwara, from Abuja to Kogi, cannot be as far as from Abuja to Cotonou, from Abuja to Port Novo. But priority, it simply means that the safety of Nigerians is not really the priority of these guys. They want to leave you with the impression of we are doing our best, we are trying. At least they are trying. But the point here is this: you are not their priority, and it's a shame. Yeah, we need to save Benin Republic. Kolu needed to save Benin Republic for who? For the Benin people, for their colonizers. This is the part where they actually granted it quickly. Then the Akpabio added his commentary afterward.
To the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the deployment of Nigerian troops to the Republic of Benin for peace mission, and I request accordingly. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
So therefore, Nigeria, now another thing is that who is going to pay for that? In case if you don't know, like Nigeria will just plug 10,000 soldiers, for example, from somewhere in Nigeria, and then just give them to Benin Republic to provide security. They will give Benin Republic, surveillance aircraft, fighter jets to man the air for them. Like, who is going to pay for that? Who is paying for all of that? Nigeria. God damn it, man. Akpabiole.
Have as ambassadors designates. The distinguished ambassador designates, distinguished Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, PhD warfare. You have just added that peace is not the opposite of war, and war is not the opposite of peace. So I believe strongly that the president's action has forestalled the death of many Nigerians, as would have happened in Liberia. In the past, Nigeria went into Liberia when it was late, and that was why a lot of Nigerian soldiers were murdered. But we succeeded with the collaboration of the international community to bring peace to Liberia, and Liberia was not fractured. I think the same thing happened in Sierra Leone and a few other countries. So we are very happy with the role that Nigeria continues to play. That was able to work with the international community and brought about the independence of Angola. And if you go there, that is why the plate number of Nigeria is 002, which should actually have been 001. But they said because of how close they are to the Democratic Republic of Congo, they had to give them 001, and then they gave Nigeria 002. And we have continued to play that role in many other countries. In South Africa, we didn't have troops on ground, but we supported the end of apartheid with everything, including contributions from even school children, NYSC, secondary school, almost everybody, civil servants in Nigeria on a monthly basis. We brought a lot of South Africans to Nigeria, and then they got their education here. When I was in Federal Government College, I had many of them in Port Harcourt and other Federal Government colleges. We provided all we could to support our brothers and sisters in the rest of Africa. So the role of the president is, again, in tandem with what past leaders of Nigeria had always done. But the swiftness of this action is what made the Nigerian Senate to give its consent without a single dissenting voice and under 1 hour. Because if it wasn't swift, we would have waited until it led to bloodshed. Here, there was no single bloodshed. So we commend Mr. President, very seriously. Let me end with the Chief Whip of the Senate, if he has anything to say. Have as
nuisance leleyi.
So those are the characters in charge and making critical decisions for Nigeria. Don't get me wrong, like I said, right? Normally, Nigeria had played these big brother roles in the past, and I probably was too young to understand. I mean, understand most of the situation at the time. But those who are the older kind of like generation from that era, some of them were so proud that the intervention of Nigeria in these countries were pretty much like a historical, like they actually changed the course of history in some of these African countries. But the last 10, 15 years, these other African countries that used to look up to Nigeria as big brother, they've watched this Nigeria so disgraced. Nigerians became almost like a worthless. Lives became, worthless. Terrorists running rampage, ransacking, and ravaging everywhere. And they were asking themselves, and the saddest part is that majority of all these other African countries watching Nigeria from far, they all even understands what is going on. They understands the fact that it is not that this country or this Nigeria doesn't have the resources to stop this kind of madness, right? But they understand that because of the political, tribal, religious, this and that, right, which have helped to compromise the entire system, people, institutions and all that have become so divided and weakened. That is why today they are saying on social media, Nigerians either begging for ransom or begging government to please protect or save them while they are on the run from their own ancestral homes and lands and all that. So other African countries are watching, but it's only the Nigerians or these supposed Nigerians who bury their heads in the sand like ostriches, right? Like that, who pretended that they are still living in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, even 90s. The history they read in their civic books. Nigeria rescued Angola. Nigeria fought to end apartheid. Nigeria protected and saved Sierra Leone. But when you say all of that to them, they will now look at it and say, but why can't you protect yourself now? And a shameless Nigerian will say, hey, but security is everybody is global problems. You are just so shameless. Very shameless. You are like the people the Yoruba call you know what that means, right? Somebody the whole world or the generality of people actually watches with pity, but he sees himself as like that's exactly what Nigeria is. A shame, as somebody from Nigeria, you are likely going to pretend and live in denial. It is very common. But if you think other African countries or other Africans don't know what is going on in Nigeria and they watch in horror, they watch with so much pity, and they look at you and they concluded that that country, they are just big for nothing. I have heard them say it. I have seen them utter it, that Nigeria, they will be telling them, so what do you want to go and do in that country? Oh, have you been to that country? Have you been to that Nigeria? They are so loud. They are so this. They are so that. But have you been to their country? This is what Nigeria is to them, in case if you don't know. Just saying. But there are those who have this special kind of like love for Nigerians. If you meet Nigerians from, at least from so many parts of Nigeria, you are going to feel like, oh man, there seems to be wonderful people, but why is your country so shy like that? And typically, typical Nigeria was just like, oh man, now Britain, Kosa. Honestly speaking, it is this America, or the West, they are the ones sponsoring everything in our country. See, and you are like, how many are you? We're like 250 million. 250 million. And you couldn't actually get like a million of you that will say enough. Say, no, it is America that is controlling. It's Britain that is controlling our election. It's crazy though, right? So when they call you a big for nothing, good for nothing as well. Big brother Africa. Crazy, right? So while we were still dealing with this Benin Republic and no clear sort of like a picture of what the situation is in Benin Republic, because when these coup plotters failed to capture the supposed president. You don't plan a coup and announce a coup without having the head of that government in custody. So they made a mistake. Or maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe this whole thing itself is actually a different agenda, or like a mean to an end, not an end in itself. Because how do you announce a coup and the guy who is the head of the government was safely kept somewhere? So it failed. You get me now? So they are not telling us what is going on inside that place. However, boom, breaking news. Nigeria's C-130 cargo aircraft, military aircraft, has been arrested in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, okay. What happened? We're talking about the Benin Republic. And we've seen the Nigerian military and the rest of them flew to that Benin Republic in the last 48 hours. What do you mean Burkina Faso again? Say, yeah, they've got Nigeria a C-130 cargo plane. But Burkina Faso now far from Benin now. This is Nigeria. From here, Nigeria, you go to Benin. This is Benin. From here, you go to Ouagadougou. So this is Benin. From here now, you go to Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou is there in Burkina Faso. So now Ouagadougou that they call it anyway. Then from there, you can actually annex Mali. So meanwhile, if you are in Nigeria here, and you see Niger here, you see Mali here, you see Burkina Faso there, and Benin Republic here. So you fly from here, Nigeria, straight to Benin Republic. What the hell are you doing in Burkina Faso? They said that rumors started flying. They said, oh yeah, maybe they were spying on Burkina Faso. Maybe they are planning to invade Burkina Faso and the rest. And then the Nigerian military came out and said, no, that's not what happened, Nigeria Air Force. That's not what happened. You see, the aircraft developed a technical problem, and they had to make an emergency sort of landing. And it happened that a small airport in the southern part of Burkina Faso, I'm going to go get it name. Name kind of like it sounded like a Dobos or something to me, right? So the area, the town where the Nigerian C-130 aircraft, cargo aircraft, military aircraft, right, landed is called Bobo. Hang on, let me take that again. It's called Bobo Belusi or something. Hang on, where is it? Yeah, it's called Bobo Dolasso. Bobo Dolasso. Yeah, it's a small place in the southern part of Burkina Faso. So, like I said, we're still wondering what's going on in Benin Republic. Why is Nigeria so invested in it and all that? Yeah, have a boom. Everybody. 11 personnel on the aircraft were detained. That was when the explanation started. So, you go explain, Taya. There is no evidence. That thing kind of like played out because, Baba, there is nothing. There is no theory. There is no angle. There is no whatever it is I have not read about what happened in Burkina Faso. Here you get after this video. Some say it's an AI.
Communiqué de la Confédération des États du Sahel, AES, relatif à la violation de l'espace aérien confédéral. La Confédération des États du Sahel informe l'opinion qu'un aéronef appartenant à l'armée de l'air de la République fédérale du Nigeria, de type C-130, a été contraint de se poser ce jour 8 décembre 2025 à Bobo Dioulasso, au Burkina Faso, à la suite d'une situation d'urgence en vol, alors qu'il évoluait dans l'espace aérien burkinabé. L'avion militaire avait à son bord 2 membres d'équipage et 9 passagers, tous militaires. Une enquête a été immédiatement ouverte par les services compétents burkinabés et a permis de mettre en évidence l'absence d'autorisation de survol du territoire burkinabé par cet appareil militaire. La Confédération des États du Sahel condamne avec la plus grande fermeté cette violation de son espace aérien et de la souveraineté de ses États membres. Face à cet acte inamical, mené au mépris du droit international et des règles internationales d'aviation civile et ou militaire, les dispositions sont prises pour garantir la sécurité de l'espace aérien confédéral. la souveraineté et l'intégrité territoriale de ses États membres, ainsi que la sécurité des populations de la Confédération AES. À cet égard, et sur instruction des chefs d'État, les défenses aériennes et anti-aériennes